talk a little bit about the securing the edges. Since we're working with so many ragged edges, there's a lot of issues to consider when you start to actually secure your weaving. And the first basic rule is that you want to tie down each side of each strip. And the simplest way to do that is just simply to stitch close to the edge in each direction, making a grid. I've actually done one on the sewing machine because that is an option for you. And I've sewn it with contrasting thread for two reasons. Number one, you can see the stitch, and number two, I don't have any white thread. And you can see that it is an interesting effect. It feels good, it holds everything really well, and you get a really nice grid on the back to work with also. So that is your option, and at least here you can see the layout of stitching on both sides of your ragged edge. For hand stitching, though, the closest thing I know of to a machine stitch is a very tiny back stitch. The difference between the back stitch and the running stitch actually is a major thing. It's a very simple thing, but it has a major effect. What I'm doing here is actually stitching with two strands of embroidery thread, and instead of taking a tiny running stitch, I'm actually taking tiny back stitches. And the reason for that is a running stitch can always be pulled out. It's basically not caught anywhere. Even though your stitch might be small, you can always pull it through. A back stitch, on the other hand, is making a loop and catching a small section of your cloth and actually securing it so it can't go anywhere. And this is a very important thing to know. You can even do your invisible baste with a back stitch format, and that will actually keep your fabric in place. It's stronger and it won't shift. So my normal way to simulate the strength and functionality of a machine stitch is to use a tiny back stitch. It's a little bit time consuming, but it will not go anywhere, and it will be the first step to making your cloth more functional if that's what you're after. So I would take the time to think about that. If you're just doing an art quilt, it's one thing, but if you intend to use the cloth, then you really should consider securing it in some way like this. The second thing that you want to consider when tacking your edges or stitching is the aesthetics of the stitch. The one thing about this little back stitch is I space it out. I'm not connecting the stitches like a normal back stitch. And in this way you can actually get it to look exactly like a running stitch. The thing about a back stitch, the nature of the stitch, is it's much easier to tell how big your stitch is because you step back and get an idea of where you are, and then you can stick the needle in. It's much more accurate than a running stitch to make it even. So you can actually consider that also in your stitching. Do you want the stitches to show? If not, you can use the same matching thread. Do you want your stitches to be decorative? If so, you might want to think about what size you want to make them and how they will appear. If you don't want them to show at all, but you actually want the cloth to hold together, then you can do your tiny invisible basting stitch, but use a back stitch, and you're just going to get these tiny little dots, and it'd be easy to make them disappear with some kind of other stitching later on. It's a good idea to try. I even try different types of approaches in the same piece. There's nothing really wrong with making it into a kind of a sampler, and you'll learn from that at the same time.